this video, we'll focus on the vertical integration module, which provides an overview of the more operations-based strategic decisions. And to start with, let's look at the company value chain. Okay, we've already talked about the industry value chain, which considers suppliers, distributors, partners, and so on. Here we're looking inside the company and looking at the company value chain from two perspectives: the support activities in the top, which support obviously the primary activities in the bottom, which are pretty much logistics, operations, marketing, sales, service, and so on. And the margin is pretty much what is left from sales after you deduct the costs associated with all these internal activities. Now, this company value chain can be longer, can be shorter, and that has to do with the vertical integration. Okay? Some companies promote upstream vertical integration, meaning they do some activities associated with the supply of materials and so on. Others do downstream vertical integration, which means they undertake activities closer to the market, such as distribution, their own retail stores, and so on. And some companies can actually do both. For instance, an industrial company with a core activity in operations can do vertical integration for procurement, research and development, and so on, and can do downstream vertical integration for marketing, distribution, their own stores, and service. Typically, a sales company can only do upstream vertical integration, right? So they have their stores, for instance, and they can do their own manufacturing if they decide to, their own research and development. For instance, some companies have their own stores and their own design, but not operations. So they do some vertical integration, upstream vertical integration, but not all of it. And if, for instance, if you're a design company, you design products, you can think about actually manufacturing those products and eventually sell those products in your own stores. That would be a gradual increase in downstream vertical integration. So those options are all there for any company. And what's even more interesting is that those choices can be undertaken in different ways. You can do vertical quasi-integration, which means you have a partnership with a supplier, for instance, or a distributor, and it works as if they're part of your company, but they're not. It's a long-term relationship, it's a strategic alliance. And you can also do partial vertical integration, meaning you do some of it and you contract outside the rest of that activity. Let's look at this example. This is from Casio, a Japanese company, and they design their own semiconductors, their own components, and their own product, but then they subcontract through vertical quasi-integration, so long-term partnership, they subcontract the semiconductor manufacturing and the components manufacturing. Then they undertake internally, so they integrate vertically, the assembly and the quality control of their products, make sure that they're well done, and then they move on to the marketing through partial vertical integration, which means that they undertake some marketing activities and they subcontract other marketing activities. Okay? Then distribution, so retailing and so on, is completely outsourced, so that's external contracting, right? So they do not integrate distribution, they only work with external retailers. But interestingly enough, they vertically integrate fully the assistance, meaning the repair and so on. So they want to keep the repair to themselves. Now, what's curious about this is that nobody gets money from repairing products, right? So it's not for the money that they do the repairing. They do the repairing to check what went wrong. It's a quality activity. Let's see what was wrong. Maybe the components were not working well, or the semiconductor, or the product was not well designed. So information from assistance, from repairing, is actually conveyed to the initial stages of design or to the assembly, in case there were some problems in assembly, so that they can correct them and gradually improve. So this is a very interesting combination of different types of vertical integration that provide a very high competitiveness to this company. What we're going to do is, of course, we're going to use this as a basis just to play around, to change. It doesn't have to be like this. And we're going to apply this to the case study company, of course, try to see how does the case study company organize its internal value chain. Okay, very well. Then comes, of course, the need for understanding how to outsource. There are different types of outsourcing. You can just do market purchase, where you go to the market and you decide, okay, what's the best quality for the price that I'm willing to pay. I'm not going to pay much, so what is there on offer? And I can have many alternative suppliers. But if you want to develop strategic outsourcing, this system has to be changed. You're trying to find some long-term partners that will help you improve the competitiveness of your products and services. So they have to have their own knowledge, their own value creation activities that complement ours. See? And of course, there are not so many strategic outsourcers out there in the market. You have to find those which have advanced skills to try to bring in and develop a strategic alliance with those strategic outsourcers. So it is as if we are doing some things internally. Around us, we have the strategic outsourcers, which create value for us and for our customers, which help us improve our competitiveness. And still more far away, we have the purely, outsourcers, suppliers, which are used just for cost reduction purposes. Instead of me doing it internally, let's do it externally with some suppliers that can cut costs. But I don't expect them to create much more value. They just cut the cost. Okay? So when it comes to those strategic outsourcers, obviously, we're looking for companies that have their own technologies, that have some flexibility to help us meet different types of needs from the market. Of course, their costs should be competitive, but it's not as important as the own technology and flexibility. Okay? So I'm thinking about the future. I'm thinking about how to create value, more value. And I know that I cannot rely on my own company alone. So I have to look for external partners. And this is the aim of this exercise. For the case study company, I would like you guys to think about what kind of strategic outsourcing you would recommend. What kind of partners should I find for a long-term value creation alliance? And in other areas, what should they just look for in the market to lower their costs? So it is as if you are thinking how to help the company improve its competitiveness by having a layer of long-term partners, strategic outsourcers, and another layer of just suppliers of low-cost products. Very well. I hope you enjoyed this video. Looking forward to applying these topics to the case study. Thank you.